On this episode of Our American Republic, we will discuss our constitutional right to self-defense. Many talk of this right solely in terms of the right to bear arms, as written in the Second Amendment. But we must first understand the full context of constitutional liberty and law in order to truly make sense of the individual right to self-defense. When threats are posed to our person or our families, the Constitution ensured that the law would protect our right to exact a reasonable response in defense of our lives, liberty, property, and privacy. It stands to reason that we cannot actually possess and protect our essential rights without a means to personally defend them from harm. How did the concept of self-defense make its way into societal law? As a principal foundation for civil law in Europe, the right to self-defense traces its legal roots at least as far back as 1500 years to the Roman Empire. Under the Roman Emperor Justinian, the body of civil law was drafted in 534 AD and permitted a Roman citizen to use lethal force in self-defense. Almost 1200 years later, John Locke echoed the notion that self-defense is the means to protect the other inalienable rights. Montesquieu followed suit by similarly stating that humans have a right to kill in natural defense. So how did the founders introduce self-defense into American constitutional law? When the founders carefully evaluated what Western civilization and the instrumental philosophers had done, they were determined to ensure that the right to self-defense would also be present in the United States Constitution. Men like Thomas Jefferson, Patrick Henry, and George Mason recognized our inalienable right to self-defense. Specifically in Federalist 28, Alexander Hamilton acknowledged the citizen's original right to self-defense to protect oneself from threats to individual rights. And, although John Adams believed that lawless conduct with arms could be destructive to society, he still endorsed our individual right to self-defense. Resistance to sudden violence for the preservation not only of my person, my limbs, and life, but of my property, is an indisputable right of nature, which I have never surrendered to the public by the compact of society. The Constitution reflects the founders' desire to protect our individual right to self-defense. Although this constitutional right was not plainly addressed until the drafting of the Bill of Rights, no such authority to supersede our civil right to self-defense is provided to any part of government in any part of the U.S. Constitution. In both explicit and implicit terms, the Second, Third, Ninth, and 10th Amendments forever support a time-honored individual right to self-defense. So, what are life, liberty, property, and privacy worth if we cannot legally defend them? Should we rely solely on government to protect us? Or should we be expected to protect ourselves? Assuming we harm only those who harmed us, does our instrument of defense matter at all?